What are you doing today?
Thursday.
It is a Thursday. Hopefully they're good.
Wasn't as humid as it was yesterday. Between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had a little over 2 inches of 2.
Maybe not 3 or 4. That helps.
In the dry. Yeah, we're out in the dirt.
The map thing figured out? The map thing figured out?
And I tried to
Snippet?
do that for some reason. It didn't work, so I just screenshot there. And then,
Yeah.
computer. For now. So, I'm not still have that. Copy that you sent.
You can send that other one, the US ones. So keep a hold of that copy and I'm gonna make more copies until we get some sort of file. Well, hopefully, you might wanna look at that and make sure that you have it.
Yeah.
So you get them done this year, to this 6 o'clock, 6 to 9, not the, and here's the
Also.
You had irrigation.
Evening.
Hello.
How are you?
Really good. Enjoying the less hot
Forgot my eyes. Oh, thank you. I can see that.
New job.
Uh,
So you're gonna retire after this,
Oh, there's several of them this afternoon. I've hit them already. I'll enjoy filling out those little forms we have all. Turn in. Yes. A little nosy as far as I was concerned. Just if you hold public office, you're stuck. I don't know if you know what brought that about. Somebody came to a meeting, at least, went to the commissioners and suggested that somebody on the committee had a conflict of interest.
That would be a question for the commissioners and Todd.
I guess. I thought Todd was going to come. He was going to come to one of the meetings and go through that, explain it. I don't know who made the complaint. I racked my brain trying to figure out who it might. I can't figure it out. That's conflict of interest. I don't think anybody's exhibited that. I mean, there's some pretty strong positions, but that shouldn't be interpreted as bias. I'm sure Todd can explain it much better than I.
No, I think they just got to vote again.
Anybody indicate they weren't going to be able to make?
We didn't call, we just sent out the email, it's a work session, so we
Oh,
don't have to have this.
you haven't heard any back from anybody? We'll wait a few more minutes.
We are now.
Are we? Who? That's not bad. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
That's
that
too
looked
bad.
rude.
Seems to be growing in our country. More and more of that. As I understand it, they're not gonna fill in the slots until it's concluded.
That's what I understand.
That's what I heard.
I don't think we as a committee want to start all over again.
Well, I think we would start all over.
We're just not.
Not really, I don't know, this is what we've come up with at this point. We're not gonna,
That's a good point.
we've got a consensus that says this is what we have. They may want to be involved in the final votes on this or the ending processes, but I don't think we're not gonna go through this.
Well, apparently not, because we aren't gonna add anybody else. Okay, so where are we on this? At this point?
I think you got through it all again. You were discussing, I think, the limited schedule.
What I'm gonna suggest then is, we take these home with us, go through them, come back at the regular meeting. If anybody has any modifications they want to make, let's make them at that time, otherwise, let's vote.
Do we vote on this to put it out? Because we have to put this through a process once we decide that we're done. I almost wonder, that just kind of was thinking of this today, whether we want to have the public comment sessions on this is going to be huge. I feel.
I think we should do that before, then.
I almost wonder if we are satisfied with this, that we have a couple and however many attending sessions of public comments, so that when we get done, then we can go,
It's a good thought.
okay, here we are. You know, of those public sessions, there's not going to be any result from it.
Right.
We're just going to listen, take notes, come back, and then we post it out for that final meeting that says, this is when we're going to take action on it. We've heard public comments, we've had our comments.
Yeah, good idea.
So the comments have.
After we get those public comments next time? Next meeting?
There'll be a public notice.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, the next, if we don't have any business before the planning board, the next regular meeting.
September 11th. Will be a busy night, so.
Okay, well, let's get the notice.
Well, I got a question. So if you have you go to public comment and then let's say in public comment session, then you go back in the work session, discuss those public comments, and make changes based on those public comments?
Comments I've got to take all week.
That's what I'm saying, we won't take any action after those. We would have to set up another meeting where we can take action. Because I think we're.
So we have a time in between to discuss it further.
And I think we need to have some rules on the public comments, you know, a time limit, so that someone doesn't filibuster us and just talk for hours.
Yeah, it needs to be about the regulations, not about
Not about the project,
about
it's about this
regulations.
regulations.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Not about the, what's the blue for?
That's what we changed. So
Okay, it's obviously.
it's, a lot of that is where it lists things out and then just put semicolon and, because it's adding all of those things, so that way it clears it up.
Okay.
So that's why there's so many little blue things in there. It's kind of, it's a little bit formatting, but
Yeah, that's something that we noticed that you all might want to approve, because on some of these sections, it's all of those things are required. So a semicolon and the next item.
and then there's some where they get that not everything's required, so it just has a colon and then has the stuff listed. What we changed is grammatical things, we're trying to clear it up, and
that should be.
that's it.
So how do we take in public comments and discuss those in a constructive way and make modifications if we need to?
And what we can,
What's the avenue for that?
what we could do is, was partly was suggested, is have schedule 2 public hearing meetings. It's going to be a lot. We can get through all of that. To have 2 of those, separated by whatever period of time, a week or 2 weeks, whatever. We could also then, depending on the feedback, schedule a work session after those 2, if we want to, talk. I think we should talk about, the feedback that we receive. We should just receive it and then.
And one of the things I plan on doing, all the people that have sent in, ask them if they have anything to add. I'll start doing that. Let those people go first.
I think that there might be a sentiment that we're not taking those comments
Sure.
under consideration.
I
But we
mean,
have our own, that's, we're here.
Yeah.
We're seated at this table, so we have our own thoughts. And then some of that may be based on those comments, some of it may be the opposite of those.
Sure.
So once we get done with our stuff, then we can take those comments into consideration.
Sure.
And as you, my opinion, when we listen to other comments, if we agree with some of them, we say, yeah, that makes sense, we probably ought to relook at that. And we go back through order. And we've decided that that's not relevant to what we're talking about. That's the way I might see it.
Yeah, I agree. But that,
It sounds like what your situation you're talking about is doing it right there with the public there. I'm thinking that, like you said, if there is comments that are brought up that need to be
I think we take those comments to the work session.
taken with.
Yeah. I don't think we interact with the comment at the time.
Okay.
Because that can turn into none of us want to be here forever, But we can listen to their ideas.
Sure.
And
So does this then get published as a public, so they see this? How does the public see what we've done?
It's been,
It's still on there as a working draft.
Oh, okay.
So this, what we have today, would go on there, and that's what they would look at to say, this is what we're on.
This is right. It is on.
I think you get all of our changes. I mean, every time we have a session.
It's, we have data presented due dates accurate. The original draft is on there also, right?
Yeah.
I think we have the very first draft that
there was a
received,
resolution format.
and then, I think we had a couple of drafts on there and decided that was too complicated, so we just kept the most recent draft on there. So whatever the most recent working draft is, what's on the website. After our last meeting, we were both out the next day, so that one took the longest, but generally they're up the next day.
And not that I'm not glad to be here all the time, but this has been exhausting, doing this every 2 weeks. And I was hoping to do the public comments on our normal tonight, second Thursday, but next month we have something, I don't know,
How many publications? What, 3?
30 days.
20 days.
Only 1 day?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know that I would call it a hearing, just a public comment. The hearing would be the final actual,
Vote.
Actual plan for the business plan.
Hearing would be should, I think this interchange should be that last meeting where this body considers this and then votes and then sends it to the board of county commissioners. It's the very last one.
And I also think that we should send this to Todd to have him go over it now, because we said in the beginning, we didn't need him here every time.
Sure.
But
Good idea.
to make sure that this is foolproof and
so they're on the website, it's the original, so resolution, was submitted originally.
You let Todd know we have final version and review. I think you just kick off.
Did you want to do public comment before that?
well, I'm just thinking maybe at the same time.
I let him go ahead, look.
Right. But if he says, if there's something
Something
glaring,
glaring, that's right.
that we can still change or whatever
Sure.
before we go to the final process.
idea, you guys will need to look at Article 32 as well, and then the addendum B, because they would both go together.
We have changes on third. Last time we would have kept turning off the first.
I think you went through it like right after all you guys started. Because it's only like 2 pages, is that right?
It's just
You said Article 17, and the addendum A,
Article 30,
goes, the addendum A.
yeah, addendum A is what you got.
Yeah, I don't think it's the one we gave to you, right?
This has been Article
No, Article 30 is what puts it in, this is the addendum for Article 30. It's the, what she has up here.
3. Okay. I got 3 things.
There's also another article that would be affected by this too, I don't know. Oh, okay. So, Article 37 has some language in there with the renewable energy. Just right there, can you see it? So the language right now in it is obviously the stuff that's for us, because that will not apply anymore. So, as we're adopting and amending, this needs to be amended as well, to get it all done at the same time.
Exactly.
So just keep that in mind, and I'll make sure that I look through the rest of it to see if there's any of that wind energy conversion system stuff, language in the rest of it, because it's just sporadically in strange places. So that's the one that. And there's also this language in there too. 7 to 9, based on the commissioner's resolution.
Now we're back to 7.
Who else left?
Okay. So. Calendar, just so you know. So we would have the 28th. You're wanting to do a public notice. I don't have enough time for that, but like a regular.
Not that
session.
weekend.
Do you all want to do another work session prior to the public stuff, after you look through all of this and make sure it's good? Before
Maybe after public side.
we talk and look at it in the next 2 weeks, I would think.
Yeah.
September.
I don't know if we're going to make the changes, could we decide whether or not to have another meeting like this, if Todd has some things he thinks we should change. And if not, then
So if we could set the first public commentary on September 25th, and that will give us, because the next 2 weeks is what they weekend. I may or may not even be here, so, which public comment might
Um,
You need to hear it,
I don't know.
it'll work for me.
But then we would have that regular meeting where there wouldn't be any of this stuff, because we got a lot to do on that.
yeah.
And that'd give a month of notice for us to talk through this. And
So 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock on public?
6 o'clock, 2 hours. And 2 hours is full if everyone does it. Do it for an hour.
We still gotta go through this, this is where we left off, I just wanna make sure we don't forget.
The lines, yeah.
Yeah, there are things in there that you guys have not resolved yet. I think that in pink in there.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. I forgot.
And definitely take a look at the blue stuff, it's stuff that we noticed that needed to be changed.
These reference sections. I'm not sure what's in the sections.
Whether they're still the same.
Well, that's why it's highlighted,
I think the
because
sections are still the same. I don't think those changed. I think that
So it says section 1, 2, and 3. Just so I know, I'm reading it. Section 1, section 2, section 3. So it's a, but it doesn't contain all the sections. All the sections?
Then it says subsections.
So is it the intent that limited solar has to 1, 2, 3 complete?
No, the subsections.
Just the subsections,
I think,
just
the way it says. Just the subsections 1 through 7. So in
yeah, I just want to double check those and make sure that
section 1, that would be definitions, so 1 through
things
7.
weren't added particularly.
And then see it.
and maybe it's because we did some shifting around the numbers that they got.
yeah, that's why.
I don't think there is an F anymore. There's an A and a C. So yeah, maybe we need to go through that.
I'm going to do that tonight and get that done.
Since you're here.
Before we get involved in that, let's finish up the public comment. We want to go ahead and schedule 2 public comments.
Yeah.
Simply because of the 20-day notice. If we wait until we have the first one, we gotta wait another 20 days if we schedule them both now. And that 20 days will already go in. And we can do the second one. We can do the second
Well,
one.
here's October. This would be a regular meeting and you won't know until September if there's anything.
Can we,
We can do the second of October maybe.
What's the black out weekend
You won't be in there.
remaining determined?
So October 2nd.
That week before the 25th.
So the feedback from the first one was still fresh in our minds, somewhat. Compared to the one.
Let's publish that if needed. In the work session, if the public comment isn't needed, say
yeah, and
Well,
then
that's a week apart. I mean, that would
let's not
be,
give them 2 shots if we don't have to.
if
more-
we're doing
more
as
public
needed, then it's gonna have to be a month from that date.
Or work.
At least do 2 and then we know if we
October 2nd?
comment.
matter what, you probably have to reduce it already.
We have a big one on the 11th. So,
Twenty-fifth and the second.
Or the 18th and 25th.
I like the 25th and the 2nd, I guess. So that's just along with that.
So Todd's responsible.
But I do that.
We do that.
Well,
Goes on 6, Sunday, reduce confusion. Vic suggested if you want to go ahead and schedule the council work session. Is there a meeting?
meeting rooms.
The meeting, you know, Zoom. Is this one?
I think it's necessary to do it.
If you got one, yeah, one is away.
Maybe I would sit back and discuss it.
So, that we push it to November after the public comment.
We have something going on in
Also,
Can we do 6
That's all
o'clock?
walked out.
Okay, I just saw one week.
That was in November.
So you could do the work session here,
Push it back.
and then your, so, public comment, and then on the October 2nd, the work session.
We could do that, or we could one possibility, another possibility.
Pushing that work session to
October regular meeting, this room is,
in October, no, but it's also leaving it open for the hospital stage.
So we could do our work session after that meeting, that we could talk about. So if we did the state of the 25th, the 2nd, and then at the 9th,
as a combination,
yeah.
regular meeting. and
No
work
one,
session.
yeah, no one probably if there's appeals, but,
Not likely, but
yeah. But that would save us from 5 straight weeks.
That's something. 4 o'clock, that's too.
for public comment, because that's what you're looking at. So. No, I want to get everybody, we've had paper, so it's going to be 3 days. It's not like a hearing, but we still want to get.
I just, it just seems like it's probably a public discussion.
Well, we don't know there is a meeting, there definitely may not be a
No,
meeting.
it's just one.
The proposal is to have a public hearing on the 25th of September, and then a second public hearing a week later on the 2nd of October, and then on the 9th of October will be our regular meeting, maybe with a work session if there's some unfinished feedback, you know, if we want to consider any feedback we want to receive, we want to. Is that correct?
Yeah, if we got through everything there, then we can do the full 30 days to ratify, and then Well,
Not
the November meeting is over.
It's,
Yeah.
it's,
Sounds like a plan.
At the moment, it does.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Life can always happen. We all know that.
I just never thought when we started that I'd be spending this much time.
More than enough.
I'm glad to do it.
Anything else?
Yeah,
We're going to finish this limited, the stuff in red
Okay.
on the back page.
there are some other spots too that you guys will want to just look at. So the stuff in blue, you want to go over that real fast and just double check, make sure that's right. On page 2, we added in lint and because it was still solar.
Okay.
Page 4, looks like there's something, oh, that was just getting that addition out. Page 7 is when the semicolon at the end starts. I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
So on page 8, the red agrivoltaic is
It's, I think it's that color because you guys have taken agrivoltaic out and previously, but that was still in there. Is that why it was there? Because you were gonna come back to it later to decide what you were gonna do with it. Because agrivoltaic was removed.
right. So we're just going to strike or to accommodate agrivoltaic plants or conditions.
Strike all that, Richard.
Yeah.
so on the road.
Well, then,
Let us-
what does plans or conditions stand for? I mean, I'd say strike from green to the column.
Conditions.
Yeah. Strike out or to accommodate agrivoltaic plants or conditions.
Anybody object?
No?
Okay, let's do it.
Are you guys good with the ands, semicolon ands?
The next one is on 28, so it's right there.
Yeah, it's 20.
There's a couple other things in the blue that.
Yeah, page.
That's not just the and,
Those were just the changes that we implemented.
some of them
The
are.
additions to Jason's.
Like page 9, project area. I don't think that was in the original language.
I'm just trying to clean it up.
Yeah, anywhere we can.
Well, and so it's not, there's a difference between intent and area. So that's saying the area of the extent. The area is 75% of the extent. So I think that was clarifying that.
So I'm good with one. And then I saw the civil, say county.
So area's good.
Page 13.
11 in terms of if the KDHE accepts the performance status, or if you guys, and then I think the friend that was like a run-on sentence, and that it, that one.
That reading makes sense. Did you read that? So, is that, read that? You want to vouch with that?
No.
So they're all.
What's your, Jason, are you saying that it doesn't clarify? I mean, I understand it is the amount of soil removed. What does that mean? I mean, it did have an and, so the amount of soil removed and is to be disposed of in accordance.
That's fine too.
But we made 2 sentences.
I think it's the same message, so.
So it is okay, you're okay with this well.
Or, yeah. Gosh, that's what it's right to say.
Or go back to the and. Take out, I mean, I don't remember why I don't remember discussing that, so you would say, the amount removed shall be reported to KDHE and the county zoning administrator, and is to be disposed of in accordance with applicable regulations. Or county zoning administrator, period, it is to be disposed of in accordance with.
Either way.
Either way, that says the same thing. I don't mind the and either. So,
Okay, we are striking through the KDHE stuff, so.
Next one's on 13.
It's not just the.
following NEC guidelines with the question mark. We need to clarify that. So I don't know that we need the NEC guidelines listed because it says local, state, and federal regulations. And
Yeah,
in the point earlier, we said NEC guidelines are
well,
listed.
So the critical electrical communication equipment was added?
We need it,
I think,
this is the question.
What did it say before?
I think some of the word was from.
Well, yeah, because it was may, and we changed it to shall.
Okay. This, as required, shall be fenced when such measures are deemed necessary. That would be the same thing to take out.
Because that was in there when it said may,
Yeah.
and we said shall,
Yeah.
so we can't deem it necessary. We're already deemed it necessary, it's shall.
And that's mandatory.
So we take out,
We can take out those last three words and follow, you can see that.
So strike when such measures are deemed necessary, just strike that part.
Yes. Because then it would read copy for our wire to ensure public safety violations. Right?
And then take,
Any secret one
You can see
thing. And then the diagram page.
that was just a question, that wasn't any language, right, that followed any state.
so we have,
We're gonna take that.
as the fence diagram follows it on the next page.
Okay, so I can, you guys want to keep the fence diagram in, so take out this question about the fence diagram.
And then, number 15, back to the sentence, meaning the sentence. I don't know if everybody looked at that, but I think nobody can understand it should be in there. We don't understand the meaning of that sentence.
we talked about that last.
We debated that.
time before.
Did you come back with something?
Yes.
Positive? Can you say what that is again? Because that's what I said, it's still not understood.
The ambient would be the baseline. And
So just gonna round it up to 5.
if the baseline is higher than that 50 already, then it would be that plus 5. So if you're in an area where your ambient noise is 60 decibels, the allowed would be at 65.
So you're just leaving it in, that's it.
Yes.
You have a problem with that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. I think it
Move
can
on.
be interpreted out different ways, so.
And then we can have a comment or.
Yeah.
the entire document.
What's the ones on 17?
So we're just adding that one from previously. This
Stuff
section
is-
or whatever section that was, that it was in there, we have just moved it to that area too. You guys decided to do that last meeting.
If some is yellow, some is blue, is there a reason?
Cause the yellow was our, like,
Yellow is the added,
and then
language.
it was bringing that blue from that other one to put
Blue
in
is
there.
not. So in other words,
It's what was on originally was this section 2, the requirements. The report from KWP, report from Natural Resources Conservation. So it just moved all of those required reports over to that one.
Everybody
That
agree with that?
wasn't clear, right?
Yeah, they like you didn't want it in 2 places and you wanted it in 2 places and it was voted to keep it in 2 places, right? And so it was less, so it was just
Everybody's okay with that? Okay.
Is that technically yellow?
Yeah.
2018 is the appraiser's office.
Yeah, it's the clerk's office, it would be the appraiser's office, where they would get a list of
You guys hear the gas?
the, yeah.
That is missing what it is. There's something about
Well, there's a civil, another spot where it said a county engineer, so it got changed to civil engineer, and it's on page 22. If the county doesn't have an engineer, so.
On page 19, we need to clean up in yellow. The base, the approved testing source, we have two question marks on this Kansas environmental. But we need to clarify that.
Everybody okay with that language?
Well, no, we need to fix that, right?
We need to either say Northeast Kansas environmental, or we need to clarify what an approved testing source is. I think it's either KDHE or
So you want to substitute KDHE for the NEKDS?
Well, we don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know if Northeast Kansas does it, or the environmental, or they just do review inspections.
I don't know if we necessarily need to define it, because who's going to be approving that testing source? It will be, are they, like on a permit, like you have a testing source, who's the approver? And they say whether that's an approved testing source. Is that going to be this board?
Let's put or and then add them.
I think it was to clarify that it's not, if you're putting the project in, you will test that well.
Right.
It's your approved person that is approving.
Right.
It's a non-biased type of test, but
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. At the time, I remember we didn't know who
Sure.
was that approved source, so we need to clarify that.
Well,
And I don't think,
are you happy with either one?
yes, I don't think it really matters.
Well, then just
We
add
just-
the or.
In our final draft, we can say, we need to find out which one, but yeah, or do or.
Or
KDS
KDHE.
or KDHE.
Sure. Then we're covered, then we got it covered.
So I have to vote. Any yes or
I think what we're trying to do here is, maybe say KDHE,
Well, if we're happy with either one of them,
then leave the other option blank.
then take care.
Do that?
So it says to contact KDHE.
Okay. Baseline reading for improved KDHE testing.
And or, take parentheses out and add or KDHE.
KDHE. Is that where you go to get the testing? They have approved people.
And I would say that ADHD would have the resource.
Group testing source.
It's never gonna replace
To do per KDHE standards. So that way it's improved onto KDHE themselves, they're gonna have somebody else do it. So, we
No.
have standards for their standards.
I thought we were trying to require them.
We are.
Okay, but if you-
I'm just throwing stuff out there, so,
So we're gonna take any KES out? Thought it was gonna be four.
Because I think that they fall under,
What do they?
they're under ADHD standards.
Okay,
They're just our area.
okay. That'll work then. Everybody happy with that? Okay, move on. Is that okay? Access roads,
change it to 14.
okay? Move on.
Keep moving on page 21, with the civil engineer.
Everybody okay with that, civil engineer?
That was already done.
That one was on
Okay.
22 that it wasn't, it still said county engineer, there's a county engineer, so we changed that one. So,
That wasn't that it.
the other one, sorry.
22 just conforms to what we've already renamed, right? Okay. 23,
Four and 25 are the same. 26, that
We
one
have
is
those
just
two.
an extra thing,
those are all okay?
because I had
Okay.
this one living in. Okay.
Yeah, I read that, that makes sense.
There's just an extra.
Yeah, just an extra name.
28, there's no rent.
Why is this red?
Everybody okay with changes on, suggestions on 24?
Yeah, I think we're up to 28.
28, better catch up, but
I think it was because it was just a question of if it should be every year for the final 5 years. And you're gonna go shut that line. I was gonna do it. Sorry.
Did we ever determine what the time period was on the conditional use?
That might be why this was. Okay. We said, did we determine the time frame for the conditional use?
I mean, does the conditional use have to be, we're gonna have to specify that?
So,
That's what I
I
don't,
don't
because how can we determine what the final 5 years is?
I think it would be based on how much I
I mean, my fear is that they'll say it's a 99-year project, and it'll be So part of my problem or concern with the decommissioning is that what happens if the contractor goes to the end of their time and then just, when the permit expires, they don't, or they turn they turn the system over to the landowner. Then is it the landowner's responsibility to decommission it? Where are the funds coming from for that?
There was something in here about transfer of the funds.
That's transfer of the
Permit
permit.
of the bond. Like of
Okay. But I don't think that the permit has an end date. And I want to probably have it.
Many permits come to them, but they all have,
That's, I don't. Like the special use permit we just granted on auto repair shop, that was, we put a time limit on it.
Yeah, owner specific, there wasn't a time frame.
When the property transfers, the permit is done. But in this case, the permit holder doesn't own the property. So the property
But
is.
the operator is the one applying for the conditional use permit.
But we don't have an end date.
That would probably be project specific. And that would be you all determining yes or no on that project. Based on the time frame. I don't know that it's in.
Well, that's just my concern is that if this is an open-ended permit and the useful life of this project is 25 years,
There's right here, it talks about operator transfer,
the, is that
33. Is there a question on this, does it state that the conditional use permit is non-transferable? I just it's been weak for a while, but every year, 5 years.
I keep thinking back, go to page 28, if there's a question there from Paul. Typically, county commissioners, the county annual, review those last 5 years, how would he suggest, that time period?
but what I'm asking is, what are the final 5 years of the CUP?
right?
But we haven't specified that. We haven't specified how long that. So is it up to them to say how long this permit goes for?
Sort of like a conversation.
I mean,
Really.
the scenario that I'm talking about is, and it's based on a conversation with the leaseholder, that I said, what happens at the end of this project? He said, well, I get to manage. I get to make the money on it. Well, they have a 30-year lifespan. And so, are they really going to produce? And is that person going to be able to get a permit? You know, and is the transfer going to work? And does that take the company's obligation to decommission it and move it to that landowner?
The decommissioning would.
Is the landowner going to be able to afford to decommission it? Or are they just going to let it rot?
well, they still gave a required bond.
We have to get it on. I mean,
But that's what my fear is, that allowing the company to walk away and say, the permit's still open and it's still available, we're gonna transfer this over to the landowner now. And
But that has to be accepted. And if we do transfer, then we require a bond. I mean, the best we have is a bond.
correct. So I'm just wanting to make sure that it's clear that the transfer has to be approved.
Well, all commissioners have to.
Well, I mean, read A, because I think this is what it's trying, I'm guessing this is what it's trying to do, because it talks about the owner shall notify the board of county commissioners of any insurer, party responsible for undertaking responsibility, by any acknowledgement of such as responsibility, and to provide all conditions listed in the approved permit. So the
I think
approved,
that's
saying
good.
the approved permit will be transferred. But, I mean, that's what's insinuated, the board of county commissioner may approve the transfer of operator if they find the proposed operator demonstrated to be certain conform to the standards as well as applicable laws, county direction, impose additional bonding, insurance, insurance requirements.
I think that covers it.
And it's airtight. It's airtight.
Seems like it to me.
Nobody can.
That, ask 7 lawyers, they're gonna get 7 opinions, so.
I mean, that, just my fear is that
And okay, the county reserves the right to impose.
I don't know what else we can do.
well, I mean, that was, did you hear?
And somebody go bankrupt and bond is out the window.
Well, the company doesn't put up the bond, bonding company does. Hopefully.
The bonding company's come out with their
But they can't go bankrupt.
Anybody can,
I mean, just in an instance.
it's a matter of good management.
Where within a year, they sold it to another entity. Does that other entity have to come and apply for a new permit? Or do they have to get approval for that permit?
Okay, so
Through these regulations, so if the first company that built it sells it to another company, does that company just absorb this permit or do they have to come and
I
reapply?
think they have to respond.
okay,
Does that say that?
I think
it says here,
Yep.
they have to do this in writing, accept their responsibility and intent to comply with all conditions listed in the approved permit. So, then it says that the commissioner may approve the transfer,
that's covered.
and if they demonstrate their ability to strictly conform with the requirements, the county also reserves the right to impose additional bonding to the new operator and deny or condition any release of any bond, insurance, policy, surety undertaken by the existing operator. In no instance shall the transfer of operator responsibility or permanent release the original operator of any duties and responsibilities under these regulations. So it sounds like there's the option that the permit could be transferred, but that's up to the county commissioners. The county has the right to reserve. They're not, I mean, it's not like approval. It sounds like it needs to be approved.
That's fine.
I'm not sure it is. I mean, I would like to see an end date on conditional use. So that in 20 years, if they decide to repower the process and put, keep it going, then 20 years we may have different standards, we may have a whole new zoning board. That I don't want to see the CUP opening, because right now I don't see anything that says that it has, it could go on forever.
Well, they could replace it.
That would
That's
be,
what I'm saying. I can't understand how any company would spend all of this money to build this system and then in 25 to 30 years rip it all out. Why wouldn't you in 20 years repower it? Because the technology should be better. And if this is such a viable option, why wouldn't you do that? It'd be like buying a car and scrapping it because the tires blow out. You put new tires on it, it keeps going. So, a lot of times on Rockport, they sign a 99-year lease. They only have about 15 years worth of rock available to them, but they keep that lease open, and it has been used to get themselves out of reclamation responsibilities. We still have it leased, And you got paid on the amount of rock that you took out of the quarry. Well, if we're not taking rock out of this quarry, we don't have to pay you anything, but we still have a lease on it.
Well, that's just what factor you have contract. But that should be in the terms of the contract. Minimum amount of rent.
Right, that's not what I'm talking about. And I'm just saying, I want to put a limit on it to,
Would that be in the permit?
I think that's a problem.
that's the question I'm asking. Is there somewhere that the permit would be limited?
Not this.
And if I'm the minority here, that's fine. I'm just throwing it out.
We don't know the last 5 years, everything.
And you don't know how long the permit's going to be.
Right. You know, as technology goes on, they can just swap out those panels. So it's, and then it's like, okay, you're not going to go in there and say, okay, your permit expired now, you need to get all this shit. There's the other side of that. I mean, it's kind of a,
Well, but what I'm saying is that 25 years or whatever, when the permit is due for renewal, that the new commission would then be able to say, yes, we're going to let it go again, or we're not. Because none of us are going to be here in 25 years. Who knows what standards have changed that I don't want to see in 25 years us holding to standards that happened in 2025. So,
and it does, I see what your point is. It does address that in here, though.
I think
Changes
so.
of standards they have for so many years to bring
That's
it
it.
things up. But
But there's no limit on the
is that, I don't know, as far as permitting goes, that's pretty, is that standard? So he gets a permit, sounds like it's theirs until the land transfers.
well, most of the time we use special use.
Maybe a condition.
And that's why we said conditional, so that we can put conditions on. A special use is different. But the way I say that, conditional is, we're putting conditions on this permit. It's not a special, it's conditional. And that's what I would say, if we're doing that, then we put a 30-year.
Well,
It has
and
to be
that's basically a discussion when the actual, because we're not really doing any permitting right now, we're just writing standards.
but there's standards for the permit.
Right, so,
That you have to meet these standards to apply for the permit. And I think that there needs to be,
Didn't I re-up the permit like every 10 years or every 15 years?
I mean, if it's considered a 30-year project, I don't want to have to, I wouldn't want to have to. You go to work in 10 years and the planning commission at that time says, we don't want this anymore. You got to decommission it now. That's not,
I'd have to go do some research on that before I would even be able to have an opinion on it. That kind of stuff would be, I'm not sure what.
and I'm just going from my solar panels have a 25-year lifespan, productive lifespan. What the advertisements I heard from this was a 30-year project. So I just don't want to leave it open-ended because then we may never be able to review the decommissioning if they just say,
Right.
permit's still valid, we're still going.
But we're in agreement that any type of transfer of ownership is subject to either transfer permit or updated permit or whatever. We got that covered.
Yeah, that's
I think so.
Okay. So it's just a matter of,
I just want to see an end date on the conditional use.
Would that be a May? Somewhere in that area? Somewhere else. We need to put a note where we,
I mean, as if they're back in the beginning, when we talk about a conditional use permit, their conditional use is for 30 years. Or,
let's extend it.
I see his name, so I'm wondering.
Not boiled.
Right.
I would just think that's some such a
I mean, I just see that, I mean, these are the regulations for that permit, that permit has to follow. So when they come in, that permit will itemize every aspect of this process. So I see it as the regulations would have the permit.
And the applicant, in their application, would have to indicate how long they're going to
Not if we don't have a time limit.
permit. Sure, but
Why? The regulations don't say that there's a time limit.
it doesn't require a time. If the application has a time, sure. Or whoever's on the commission at that time will impose an appropriate time limit based upon how long the operator takes their
That's the way that I would handle it. I don't think it needs to be in here. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting it in.
We filled it full of rules. I mean, the permit application is based on these regulations. So why wouldn't you have a time limit in these regulations if you're going to impose a time limit? If you're not going to impose a time limit, then
What does that time limit do? What are the impacts of those time limits is what I'm trying to think about. Realistic.
it doesn't leave this opening to where
that's what the bond's for.
But if the permit never has an end date, then how do you ever draw on that bond?
You put the end date in the application, because you don't know how long they're going to need.
But
They want a 10-year or 20-year.
the end date, the application is based on these regulations.
But how do you know how long they need?
Right.
What limit are you going to put on it? 10 years? No, we need 30. How are you going to do that in advance? Huh?
Put a date on it, put a time on it, and argue with the year. They say, that would be more than 10.
So we put some type of language in here that the permit application process will have
And then
an end date.
Sure. That would solve it.
that'd be fine.
That way they have to specify how long they're running. And if it's 30 years, I mean,
I don't know.
they're going to say 80 years. Or is that acceptable? I mean, to me, that's not. But
That you have the commission to determine. Ultimately, it's going to be based upon the commission at the time. To review the application, determine whether or not it's acceptable. We can't second guess that commission.
the only thing is what happens if they say 100 years and the commission at that time says that's acceptable.
Them all over in our grave.
We're going to saddle this county for the next 100 years.
We can't stop that.
That's
I think we can.
Well, if we put 30 in there, and they come in and say we need 100, and that commission can say, okay, you can't stop that next commission from doing stupid things.
But I'm saying if we put in all kinds of regulations on what we have to do in order to protect the county
And the rest you can do is require that time limit to be in the application.
You have section 4. If you want to put it there, or and you can put it in section 3 too, that the commissioner shall consider the time.
Under the application process.
not trying to do it. Of course, I'm asking a question. When when the county approves a permit for a rock quarry, Is it a special use? And is there more conditions on that?
I think in the plan, if I remember correctly, they say when, how long it's gonna.
But, and that is also, those are already covered in the comprehensive plan, or in the zoning regulations, not towards are accepted. They're, the
Yeah.
language is like,
Yeah, it's not extensive like this.
right, we're writing complete new regulations on something we didn't have. So,
Yeah.
that's, just trying to cover.
So, somewhere in here, GH. Is outline. Section 4, application required documents.
I'd have maybe add it as A. Condition A. So we should worry about that. The declaration. Declaration. Say that. You say that. I'm just thinking how you word that.
So we want to add something that, determination date?
As part of their application.
They pick it,
We're not specifying that in the regs, we're just specifying that.
Right.
We can,
Start and end date of permit requested.
That work? Everybody agree, everybody agree with that?
it's better than one one.
Okay, what's next? Okay.
I mean, that's because that goes
That
back
takes care of that.
Yeah, I deleted it out of there.
And that's fine. Okay.
You believe the whole statement or disagree with it?
Yeah, because it was a question.
Okay. But I'm saying it needs to be in there, but now we clarified that
Right.
we're gonna have that.
Yeah, that's why
Okay.
Okay.
33 to that.
So what about 26, the every year, the election? That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the one that he was saying, just, they're saying leave it in, but remove it. Because now they'll have a date on there, they'll have a termination date, so every year for the final 5 years, you'll know when that is, because
I
like,
just say we're just, was that in the language or is it?
no, well, my last one I have down here,
Just leave that together.
Yeah, we're going to leave that in there. Okay.
and then the 133 and.
So in my mind, 133 question is answered.
That's the one that I would know.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
read, is that
That was one that there was a question on. Wasn't it, was that the original document?
that would be basically,
I think those, the red before was questions for Todd, or the pink before was questions for Todd, wasn't it?
Well, no, this one wasn't. Director, that was the administrator.
Well, change that to administrator. Is that what we
And I
need to do?
think codes, well, codes doesn't need to be in there. I guess it's regulations. That was the confusing language
Original version.
in the comprehensive plan, when it was talking about codes, well, it's regulations. So it's back and forth between codes and regulations. So codes just needs to be straight, and codes, and it just needs to say zoning administrator.
So we're going to substitute administrator for record. Everybody satisfied with that? Okay.
Let's do it for Todd.
it makes sense to me that there is, they're going to revoke the permit, they're going to invoke the coverage under any bond document, which would be there. And credit and all of this stuff. So,
Maybe he's talking on page 34, he's talking about C on page 34.
Middle of the page, long.
All this is just a clarification.
Gotcha.
So yellow.
Oh, look, there's a term on the conditional use. Next to on page 34. Huh?
There it is.
So there's the 30
here we go.
Which is what we put in there at the beginning, it's still going to list the termination date, so yeah.
So on 11, I try to explain what this means, if you would.
It's just where the L6 are discussed, is what it's talking about.
And it says,
It's only about the limited scale. And so it's saying where limited scales are.
So you guys just need to go through that and make sure that, and all of those apply to.
okay, so just want to make sure I know the definition. So when you say section 1, 2, and 3, that's all of those two sections, right? And then you have subsection 1.7.
I think that
A, B,
came,
C.
did that come from the original document? That was in the original document, so that's why it's in there, and it was highlighted because those have changed.
So you go back to
Be
the-
corrected.
Yeah,
You need to go through and probably look at the original document to know
what they were initially, yeah.
Is there a way you can not update those and send this out?
She's fine.
No, she's looking at us.
That's
You can do that.
I mean,
You can do it. It's just we all
They
have
want to be
to
open to
I
think
can
about
picture this
that.
man down the road a long time and she doesn't.
we
do it. We have to do it 5 times.
You pull up the old, like the original document, and then you can
So you
say,
can just tackle that right now.
Okay, let's do it.
we have enough on our plate.
Just go ahead and do that.
So that you go to.
We can just get them relabeled in here. We don't have to go through them all.
Just where it talks about that.
Section 1, 2, and 3.
And
It says subsection 1 through 7.
So,
Definitions.
So it says it's in
Section 2, I think it's pretty much requirements to obtain a special use permit for limited and commercial utility scale.
The only thing we changed that was special condition.
yeah.
well, it reads like it's all of section.
Well, it says, why does it say in subsection?
So,
Because it
subsection,
says section 1, 2, 3, subsections 1 through 7. So it's B, C, F, subsections 12 to 13.
Only. So that's the way I see it. Sections 1, 2, and 3, and the subsections are the only ones that pertain to the LSC.
okay, well, section 2 only has 3. Yeah, 5 is subsection 3.
Is it all of sections 1 and 2, and then section 3?
Oh, wait,
those
yeah, exactly,
subsections?
4, 5, yeah, it goes to 5,
Is that not broke apart far enough? It's 1, 2,
Section
3
1, section 2,
subsections.
section 3, and then the subsection.
Subsection 3,
Maybe
because then
you
it
can
says
word it
section
better,
4
so it's
subsections, section 5 subsections. So I don't think it's all of 1 and 2,
Right.
but then portions of 3.
Okay.
Good to go?
Section 4, 7.
Except, and that's all the setbacks, AC and F.
You guys added some stuff.
All of section 1.
So basically what this is saying is that it doesn't have, and we don't have anything for that, it doesn't have to adhere to the setbacks that a commercial does. If it's stated like it is, because it says AC and F in section 8, subsection 8.
We're in 3. 1, 1 and 2 are complete.
Yeah. In section 3, subsection 8, setbacks, it says A, C,
7.
and F.
A.
So
Okay.
it does not have to adhere to those setback requirements.
And that lines up with what the intent was originally back when you guys built these numbers, right? I guess. And then section 12 and 13 only. That's noise and interconnections. Section 4. Decommission. 14 or 7 A and B, but
It doesn't anymore. They must have done something different. So,
Well, the application, section 4 got changed quite a bit.
section 4, like, doesn't turn here. So it's section 4 in the whole, or the additional, or section 4, subsection 12.
Ownership status and so forth. So we might wanna consider the application process for,
Ownership status disclosures now in section,
Yeah, 'cause there's-
subsection 13.
I think there's a lot of things that also need to be in there.
So, ownership status disclosure is 13 instead.
it's 13 airships, isn't it 14, 13, is not?
That's 14. Insurance and decommissioning fund. So it's 13 and 15. And then A, B, A, B,
So it's not,
it's
it's
13,
12, it's 13.
13 and 15. And 15 is what's the insurance and decommissioning fund. And it says A and B only, so that looks right too.
And then section 5,
Subsection 67. Non-compliance and penalty.
Should I put all for section 4 or not? I don't know what you wouldn't put in there. We're talking about 20 acres, 2,000.
Well, limited scale would be 20 acres.
20 acres or less, so 20 acres.
Right. So this would just to
Yeah.
make sure that limited scale doesn't have to comply with all the same things that commercial, right?
Yes, but
It's
I
not
think
as strict.
the application process, and what's required of the application is in section 4, and then still need to have roads, and still need to have.
They're not gonna have roads and transportation plan on the 20 acre side.
They will. There'll have roads in there, they're gonna have to have turnarounds, I mean, it's still, 20 acres is still.
I don't know, that's what
I think that some of it was,
And, yeah, whatever you guys have before is fine, I was just thinking that a lot of this stuff,
I think it's fine, isn't it?
it's still there. And it's,
no, we don't,
extraordinary.
Sorry,
Sorry.
so section 4, that changes.
What's seven? Extraordinary. Yeah, so that's, those really are the same. So the ones that change are 12 and 14 under section 4,
Okay, what are 12 and 14 now?
13 and 15.
13 and 15, and 15 has A and B.
Yeah, it's the insurance and decommissioning fund is what it was.
So, section 4, how much of that application process do you want in there, so it doesn't have essentially?
Yeah, it's been a lot added to that section 4.
just like in subsection 1, I mean, there's a lot of that that's not even affected by 20 acre site. We're not gonna do extensive grading, it's gonna change
Sure.
runoff.
Would it be easier instead of having like just this little blurb at the very end, is in parentheses in those sections, required for limited, that way it's in there on each section that it's required for limited.
That one? Easy to follow.
It would be easier for me to follow.
Purple.
Hopefully when this is done, it's all black. No different colors.
Well, we'll have to do a bunch of formatting once the final whatever. So they're making formatting things that I don't know, mess with. Some of the stuff that we start through change how it's formatted, and then we want to make sure that the formatting is all the same. So it's like 1, 2, 3, ABC, and then the I and the Y, so that it all runs the same. It's really, so, like, so definition apply to limited, also says and says section 2. It's all section 2. It's it says that here. Yeah, it says that. Yeah, section 2. See this one? Says, and that's the start. Thing. So like, you add all that information, for all sides, right? But like this one, it only applies to this one, all sides. It doesn't apply here, here. You have to be one of those. Maybe we could put an asterisk or something where else or. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll think on that. So my question to you all is doing additional stuff for section 4, like doing additional sections, subsections. Because
I
now,
didn't see.
I didn't see it, man.
you don't want any additional
Oh, no,
application
no,
requirements
I didn't see anything we need to add.
No, it's for the limited scale.
for limited scale
Okay.
here. In section 4, you all added a bunch of stuff about the application process.
I think number 1 needs to be added,
So it needs to follow
Subsection 1,
subsection 4, number 1.
Subsection 4, subsection 1.
Possibly subsection 1A through I. I don't know if we need to add that into the,
Number 3,
So, we're gonna have a corporate disclosure statement, are you on a limited scale?
yeah.
Right.
Well,
The one we're talking about now is 20 acres.
what she's saying is, if
On
you're doing it, are you going to have a corporate disclosures? If you're doing it,
Unlimited
if you're not, it says by an applicant that is a corporation partnership somewhere in it. So, I mean, if I were personally build a 20-acre site, I may not be classified as a corporation. So, are you requiring that? I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's,
9 times out of 10 it'll
yeah, corporations on, I would say, one page to high, up for discussion.
I'm fine.
For the red and blue on this copy. I think we want to, public notice.
Would you say after A through I?
These are talking about two.
Yeah,
This is additional than normal. Isn't that right? Additional public notices. More than normal.
This is pretty much the normal public notice. Outline date. So at least something.
That's saying that they have to.
Oh, so it's, they normally go with a half mile, and this is extending it to 1 mile. So it's 1.5 mile.
That's fine. Keep it in.
Well,
You're limited.
Yes,
so okay, let it move it to 1 mile. That's
all up to.
Number 4. Talks about the site plan, the address, the road that there's going to be, and what's going to be.
Normal building permit would require a site plan.
so listed. All of section 4. Or subsection 2.
Probably
Let's go on.
We still have sorry. One thought on 4 is possibly A through F plus J.
would be
If we need them or not.
You could say on that, that they're going to have to specify plan model for it, or we're not going to have an
Right.
explanation. So, I mean, to try to take that one out, it just makes it a lot of interpretation. I mean, I don't see anything in there that would not classify, but they couldn't say, yeah, it's not going to pertain to this.
All of 4.
That's fine.
good with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
all 4.
He E&E. That's probably gonna be part of the site.
So you-
I mean, A is just a reference to something that we've already required. So,
I mean, it's really not very hard to get, it doesn't apply.
it's there. I don't know about 6. It'll be up to. Public road, if anything, right? That's based on construction. Operations.
Yeah, we just found another page in here. 22.
I don't think 6 would be necessary.
So,
7 would be, right? Landscape plan. All 7.
Okay, I'm gonna approve this civil engineer thing here. So we can,
looks good.
706 also.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
It's the same thing, so.
Excellent.
I think, yeah, we're gonna have to, a way to know what's going on.
10, that, there. So that's, number 1, that's just geotechnical, basically. Well, and infrastructure, too.
what was the decision on 7
I don't know about that.
But 10, yes. That and
Yes,
where-
I think so.
That's, I mean,
I think this is, I'm just,
So we think of it as a landscape, and it's a city of
I mean, it could be that, or it could be a, you know what?
It could be a,
If you could get the funding to put one up on your property, you could do that. And I think that putting too many limitations on it for 20 acres, if you're going to spend $1 million extra just to do all the testing. Whereas on a larger scale,
Somewhat prohibitive.
is you can spread that out. And this is more than likely one property owner versus 10.
yeah, it would be like that. Yeah. I can get you like that. Something that wanted to put their own back, offset their own usage charges, you know, plant uses a lot of electricity. Or city.
Each lane is providing an option for city of
I wouldn't think 11 would necessarily be required.
that's its thing.
I don't know what you guys feel about 12, 13, and 14 is definitely needs to be part of that. Ownership exclusions, airstrips,
We already had 13 and 15. Those are the two previous ones that were.
Okay, okay.
It's not going to be required. A decommissioned plan, I just don't know about the law. Because it's not really a fault of the county, it's a fault of the city landowner. That
I'm not certain how, how it will be determined that some section doesn't apply. For example, if we include all of section 4, if there's one to 11 on 4, 5, how would the county determine what particular item doesn't apply to them? How would that be?
So, did we, just to make, so we had an agreement that was, section 4.1 and 2. 1 and 2, right?
Yeah, all 4, all 5.
We just, yeah, I think we just go around.
No,
And that was in
And
1
I
A.
just suggested to not put those,
One is A through I.
the reports.
Or 1 is A through I.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were. 1 is A through I, then 2, and then all of 4, all of 5,
All 2,
yeah,
all 4,
2, all of 4, all of 5, all of 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 is sort of their act, and then all of 13, all of 15. So I have.
For example, on 4, site plan, G is kind of wildlife. Who would determine the wildlife corridor doesn't apply? I know it's a small.
Well,
it's
I guess the way I would see that is,
So I'm,
we're not planning any wildlife in this. I mean, if you're putting in 20 acres, I'm not putting them in. They don't need it, they can go around. It's not a massive disruption of the wildlife pattern.
terms of larger.
If you have 2,000 acres, that's a massive disruption. 20 acres is not. You can chain link fence your 20 acres and deer will go around, whatever. So they could just say, we don't plant any corridors because. So that's, they would say that it's not. And that would be up to the commission, but I'm just saying.
So yes,
Yes.
we do think it does.
Right.
We agree it does not.
So you're,
Just say that there needs to be a decommissioning plan as such in the first paragraph.
Well, there's a requirement for a decommissioning fund under 15.
Yeah, I'm saying to require decommission but not require bonds or funds.
Well, it was in, it was just the liability insurance and property insurance with the insurance on it.
You know, it's
So
not
we
like
need, you know,
if somebody builds a big building, there's no requirement that we say they're gonna tear it down. So I don't know if the decommission should be required.
so
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So can you strike 12?
It's not included, yes.
Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
the
12.
only other question I have, do you have on the limited scale a proximity to the next one? Could you go in and put up 120 acre sites?
Same pile of land we
Well,
take this?
somewhat, I mean, not on the same, that's what,
Like I said, that.
how do you classify, we don't have a limit on the number of limited scales, but the limited scale has a lot less restrictions. Is there any way to stop going through 120 acre permits? Because we're thinking that, you know, there could be one or two 20 acre sites in the county. But the potential could be that they would say, well, that's easier to do.
Should we put a limitation on the number of 20 acre units that can be in the county?
That if we have a limit of 2,000 acres on commercial, then we limit limited scale to 2,000 acres as well.
Makes sense to me.
No more than 100 permits in the county.
Everybody agree with that?
So for an electric co-op, like they've done in some other counties, wants to build a 100 acre facility, they require them for five, 7.
Because we don't have any, you know, on the commercial, it says they have to be within a half mile of each other. They can't be no sites can be within 2 miles of each other. There's nothing that says on a limited scale how far apart these have to be or how close they can be.
So they could be, those big fence to fence.
We don't have any setbacks for it, we don't have anything, because we're assuming that they're not gonna be part of a big project. And I don't want to give them way out.
We all agree, limit to 100.
In the definition, like what we said, commercial was 2,000 acres. Or the definition of a limited scale. So just on,
17B,
yeah, so say does not exceed 20 contiguous acres and may not exceed 2,000 acres total coverage.
Should we still review 2,000 acres?
You should put it under the size of the system on the property, where the one is on page 9. That's where you're.
20 acres
That's where.
and not more than
2,000
100 permits will be issued.
You're saying, all right,
How did you say how many?
2,000 acres.
Can you put 4 20-acre sites on 80? Or is it per 20 acres per parcel?
For landowner,
Yeah,
we need to allow,
Then you could have 4,000 acres in 20-acre sites.
so yeah, it's just right
that would make sense, economic.
4B on page
Or
9.
whether there's less restrictions on limit.
page 9 for me. This 4A is where it defines the commercial scale.
we need to allow all sets next to each other. And validity, I think they
I don't,
we could put them like, no more than 5 or 6 in a block.
I mean, I would say, realistically, I think in a county, if we were to get 5 limited scale. So, I mean, we could say 20 acres, limit 5 or 10, limit 10 in the county. But also, the planning commission would have to, they would have to apply for each
Yeah.
permit, and that would give them the application to say no, yes, no, whatever. But because we're making the restrictions easier, I would say,
Sure.
I would say 10, no more than 10 limited scale permits.
Put that, road with that.
I would say a higher number simply because we have like, I don't remember how many, workers. And we have at least 3 of them, there's some tiny little pieces that come in from some others.
But I guess what we're trying to do, if they get bigger than that, we want to encourage them to be considered commercial, so that we have the standards high, the raised standards that they would have to put in the commission and all that stuff.
I mean, so that goes off the permits. You're in the commercial side.
Right.
Intent is this is a standard.
Just sort of after that first sentence, and no more than 10 permits shall be issued. I'm on page 9. Where it limits it to 20 contiguous acres. Not more than, what, did you say 10? Not more than 10 permits shall be issued. Can you add that to it?
That really makes sense.
Page 9B, the first sentence.
we meet like 15.
I think it's good. Because I don't think you're gonna get, I mean, I think if you're gonna go to higher than that in this county, you're gonna go to
What I'm trying to express here is that some of the other folks around the state have 100-ish acres. So that one of those three co-ops would take 5 of those permits. 2 of them could do it, the third one could not, but they had not.
and that's fine.
So,
That's-
that would be what we're setting up here.
Because you get up beyond that, and it should be commercial. Or
But if the third one also wants to do 5,
they're not allowed, that's.
That'd be up to the commission. Still have to make an application. Are we all good with 10?
Everybody would know it.
Majority rules.
I think that's the case. I think you're right.
I did have a question, 15, back to 15 and before it was only A and B, and I said, you guys said all of it, the old one was only A and B, and then C.
Okay,
For
that's a good call.
15, I have a wire,
It's
it would be
28.
28.
28.
28 is the C, the decommissioning fund requirement, that wasn't in the old one, it was only A and B that was required under what used to be 14, but now 15, so.
Okay,
We
stay
did.
that way.
Yeah, we didn't put the decommissioning fund in. Is that right?
That's what we said.
Yeah,
It was said all of 15, but I don't think anybody flipped the page to
Oh.
see decommissioning fund, so it should, I think it should only be A and B.
Right. Which is, yeah, that was specified.
That's all,
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify.
Which wording do you like better? Is the, it's been a day. Alright, so adding in 10 in the first sentence or maybe
Second sentence.
second sentence. Because that just looks more like what's up here.
But it doesn't, that would say that there isn't a separate permit for each 20 acres. If you had 10, 20 acres, that's not a separate permit. But each 20 acres requires its own permit.
makes sense.
Okay. Do you want me to
Oh,
edit
yeah,
this?
here.
So you want-
last
Well,
page
if you want
here
to
and
go
work
back
it all
over the
out?
time.
It's been-
Yeah,
We started in December.
okay.
We've been over 2 weeks since December.
Let's have a happy.
And I'm still on fine with it. It's good.
Did you write it down?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
As I said at the beginning, it takes 3 years, it takes 3 years. We've got through
I don't have-
the 9 months.
alright, section 2, 3.
I mean, like,
Subsection
I'm closer to you.
1.
I know it. You got rid of that. You work out.
Right.
Okay.
4, section 4 is where it's,
Subsection, section 4, subsections
Yeah, it changed it.
A through I. Is that okay?
I've got 13, 15, AB.
it's not capital A.
Is it
Yeah, it's a capital A.
Yeah.
A through I, all of 2, subsection, all of 3. Or all of 2, all of
2, 4,
4, 5, 7. You can do 7 through 10. And 13. And then 15, 8. That's our
15. Section 5, subsection 6 and 7. Alright, so that was going to get going.
You all happy with that?
It's on work session. Everyone's got it 2 weeks from today.
No public, I thought.
The only thing we said was if
Todd.
Todd looks at it and says, yeah, we need to make some changes before public comment.
Then we're going to have
But he may not get through it till that time. So,
So he's getting big by the hour.
well, right, but it may not do us any good.
Let me know before I go.
Me too.
Well, I'm planning on not unless we hear different.
So,
So let's just say that.
well, she'll give us notice when we have a meeting.
For August 28th.
Yeah, it's,
He'll give us notice if we need a meeting.
a work session?
Yeah, it's not scheduled, it's not,
No, I don't think I put it on there.
No, we didn't schedule it. You better let us
Yeah.
know if we need it.
28th, I don't have anything scheduled as of now.
Now,
because that's Labor Day week.
I'm just wondering. If you published a public thing, we could meet the first Thursday of
We have,
for public comment,
we have a meeting,
the
a
first,
regular meeting with 3 special meetings.
I'm talking about the fourth. So you're getting that within 20 days?
Yeah, but let's just leave
That's me getting something in tomorrow, right? Yesterday.
Oh,
Yesterday.
it. Yeah,
Okay, we're good.
let's just leave it at that.
Tuesday.
Yeah, we're good.
you have to have it in by Tuesday at noon.
Tuesday, Monday.
What is this
Oh,
thing?
Can I email you all your packets?
Yeah.
Mail.